Ranking Member from North Carolina, Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and let me thank the witnesses, but it's been a little frustrating for me listening to a number of the things that have been said. But let me just, I hope I didn't hear references made to the fact that if you are a member of a diverse group, whether it's African American or Asian, Hispanic, et cetera, that you don't represent excellence. I really resent that. But let me begin by saying that the pursuit of excellence and the pursuit of equity are not mutually exclusive. In fact, I would argue that they're inseparable, because DEI, for me, and as it should be for all of us, represents diversity, excellence, and inclusion. As I have been a college professor for 40 years, I tell you, I've seen firsthand the talent, that talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. And DEI exists to close that gap. Now, earlier this week, I heard from STEM educators who reminded me that holistic student support, DEI included, isn't just about fairness. It's about building a workforce that reflects the country that we live in and the world that we lead. We are in a global race, whether it's AI or biotechnology or clean energy, and yet this conversation today feels more like focused on politics than preparedness. And we should be asking, are our students ready for the world ahead? Are our institutions creating pathways for all of them to succeed? So let me just turn to you, Dr. Harper. Today's hearing is titled Restoring Excellence, but it implies that previous systems before DEI were somehow more effective or fairer. So I'd like to explore that with you. Yes or no? Have students across all communities historically received the same access to high-quality educational opportunities regardless of zip code?
No, they have not.
All right. Yes or no? Have all educators had the same level of training and resources to deliver those opportunities?
No, they have not.
All right. And finally, do traditional markers like GPAs and resumes always predict who becomes the strongest leader in the workforce? Or have you seen individuals from non-traditional backgrounds like mine outperform once given the opportunity?
No to the first part, and absolutely to the second.
Okay. So this committee hears a lot about workforce readiness, but what we often don't hear is what employers are demanding, especially the Fortune 500. More than 90% of Fortune 500 companies have some form of DEI strategy. They do it not because it's trendy, but because it works. So my question, Dr. Harper, is how do DEI programs align with what the modern workforce is demanding from our higher education institutions?
I especially appreciate this question because in addition to my work in higher education, I also work with hundreds of corporations, agencies, and other organizations spanning a multitude of industries. And one of the things that I consistently find is that leaders want workers who appreciate diversity, who are able to work on diverse teams and lead diverse teams. They recognize that it is good for global business when people understand what their implicit biases are and they've had an opportunity to address those implicit biases. Employers understand that high quality professional learning equips leaders, managers, and workers with the skills.
So let me move on and ask, how do DEI practices help ensure that students from all backgrounds, rural, urban, low income, how are they prepared not just to keep jobs, but to lead?
Yeah, you know, I appreciate that you raised earlier that, and I'm paraphrasing, but homogeneity is the opposite of diversity. Inequity is the opposite of equity, and exclusion is the opposite of inclusion. Those opposites they're bad for our workforces, for our workforce, and for our democracy. We need college students who become college graduates to really appreciate equity, diversity, and inclusion, and to lead from those standpoints when they transition into their lives after college.
So finally, DEI efforts, some people claim, are no longer necessary, that we've evolved past the need for intentional inclusion. I disagree with that. I've spent a lifetime in education, and I know that students today still face barriers that data alone cannot explain. I yield back.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, we'll move on to our closing remarks. I'd like to recognize Ms. Adams for her closing remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you once again to our witnesses for speaking with us today. And so as we conclude today's hearing, I want to leave this committee with this one message. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, DEIA, are not partisan talking points. They're pillars of just and equitable education systems. And so we've heard today about the devastating impact that the rollback of DEI initiatives has had, especially on institutions like historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs. But these schools are not just academic institutions, they are lifelines for communities that have been denied equal opportunity for far too long. They nurture talent, they uplift communities, and they empower generations of students who might otherwise be overlooked or forgotten. So when we cut DEI funding, when we politicize inclusion, we are not preserving merit, we are narrowing opportunity. We are telling first-generation college students, as I was, we're telling veterans and students of color, parents, students with disabilities, and students from low-income communities that their future is less important, and that is unacceptable, because DEI is not about pre-preferences, it's about fairness, it's about recognizing that students from all walks of life can succeed on campus, and making sure that they are not roadblocks that are visible to some, but not all. It's about ensuring that every student has a real shot at success, that regardless of your zip code that you grew up in or the color of your skin. And it's not just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. A diverse, inclusive, and equitable educational system produces better outcomes for all students. Diversity is our strength, and so it fosters innovation, strengthens our workforce, and builds a more competitive and compassionate nation. The future of our country depends on how we invest in the next generation, and that includes standing by our institutions, protecting DEI programs, and pushing back against efforts that will drag us backwards. I thank you, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.